This episode is one of 6 podcast episodes dedicated in loving memory of my late father, Iman Siwanda, a father, a teacher, an inspiration, and a legend. Rest in eternal peace, big man. Love and miss you always. P.O.T.N forever.
Yeah, you know, it's your boy. Yeah. Alright, listen. I started out on the pavement. Bet you thought I wouldn't make it. Wondering why you ain't did it? Cause you only working that day shift. Yeah, success is contagious. We're winners on regular basis. A lot of y'all getting mad, huh? Like how we do it from the basement. I ain't been getting no sleep. Lately I'm playing for keeps. Lately I'm out on these streets. Been talking to God.
And we're back with another episode of the P.O.T.N podcast, a podcast dedicated to war people and motivating all of you listeners to go that one step further in your lives. Today we are celebrating a bit of a milestone. We've reached our 20th episode in the P.O.T.N podcast series. And I am your host, and today I am joined by a very good friend of mine. He's my brother-in-arms, my brethren from the shield. His name is Thabo. He's a very enthusiastic, he's a positive guy. I'm excited to have him on the podcast today. Thabo, welcome to the show, bro.
Thank you, sir, Takura, for inviting me, man. I'm so excited. Honestly, like, man, I couldn't wait to get on the podcast, man, and I can't wait to start.
Yeah, man, I think, me and you are probably going to have...
Congrats on the 20 episodes, man.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much, man. And yeah, we'll jump straight into it. I'm pretty sure today's episode will be a different one. It's a mini celebration, and I've got the best person on it as well to help with that celebration because, you bring that energy to it, man.
Don't make me blush, brother. Don't make me blush, brother, please. You're going to make the other guys jealous before me, you know what I mean? Like...
Absolutely, man. Right, so we'll jump straight into it, bro. And can you tell our listeners, a bit about yourself, where you're from, what you're currently up to, and what you get, what you're currently doing, and what you get up to in your free time.
So I, Thabo Magava, am from the city of Kings, Bulawayo, Zimbabwe. That's where I was born and raised. Proud to be from there. Currently, I'm actually doing a master's in financial technology, and in my free time. Right. So I do some investing on the side. So I mostly invest in commodities and stocks. Let me say stocks are, those are the ones I research a bit more on, because it's a bit more taxing on that side and you can lose a bit more. And I also do some poetry on the side as well. Like when I get some inspiration, I'm mostly into, the deep, typical poems. So don't expect me to give you some happy poems if you want to ask me to do poems for you. And I'm also a football fanatic, Arsenal fan through and through. Yes, I've had some heartaches there and there, but that's what Arsenal comes with. That's what Arsenal comes with. And also listen to music and anime on my free time as well.
Awesome, man. And that's a stellar intro, bro. You've literally you've brought yourself into another space already, man. And I'm really excited to hear more as we progress. I mean, I know you're into, first thing would be obviously on the financial technology side, as things are progressing now and the focus on that, it's going to be quite interesting as to see what happens in the financial industry in terms of the response and obviously the development of new technology. Because as we know it, man, as we're having this conversation, something is being developed to improve our livelihoods, technology wise. So it's going to be quite interesting. And yeah, I'm also we share the same home city, man, city of kings, man. Now shout out to Blues, Bulawayo, Zimbabwe. That's where we're from. We're repping, we're out here.
Tell me, brother. Yeah. Is there a chat you'll be like, hey, yo, if you're from Zim, if you're from Blues, Zim, come on, put it on the chat. Put it on the chat.
Yeah, bro. I'm pretty sure all the people in Zimbabwe are probably this episode has got fire already, man. And yeah, man, it's been a long time as well because we started off good old Petra days, and then obviously we progressed through, and then we reconnected when we got to the UK and stuff. So it's been a while, man, and it's good to have you on. As an avid football fan myself, I know what you mean when you've experienced pains, trials, tribulations. I mean, obviously, congrats on Arsenal winning the FA Cup. You guys knocked my team out. I don't think a lot of my listeners know that I support Manchester City. Yes, I do.
Well, now, yeah. Tell them why, because there's not a lot of Man City fans out there, unless they joined because they started winning. That's what I'm saying.
Right. So I don't think I've ever had the chance to actually explain why I support City, but it started in 2009, 10. I think this is just after I've always been an avid sports fan myself, like watching football and stuff. To be honest, like, massive fan of the Premier League heroes, the likes of Rooney's, Henry's, Vieira's, Roy Keane's, always been a massive fan. And then a change was happening on Eastlands, at Manchester City, and like there was talk of massive investment. There's a purchase of our captain. He's forever my captain, Vincent Company. And I think where it all started was like there was the signing of Rubino, Pablo Zabaleta, and we were actually linked with Kaka at the time as well. So I was like, I'm joining something that's very, very exciting. It's progressing. It's going to be quite interesting and exciting going forward. And then I got myself the jersey to see how I looked in it, and I was like, wow, sky blue fits me, bro. I don't know if you ever seen a picture of it. It's probably somewhere on my Facebook, but like I probably wouldn't even include that because people probably go and look for my Facebook. But yeah, like it was.
Can you imagine? You'll see your comments coming through like, "Oh, okay, so you is a Man City fan." Nah, okay, I get that.
Yeah, it's quite crazy, man. So going through all those years, like with all the transfers and stuff, and I think winning it in 11, 12. Obviously, I was the only City fan in a high school full of Man United fans. So it was quite interesting because it was one against all, but I liked the odds because I was the one that stood out. So that's why I support City. And I've been privileged enough to actually go and see them play live as well. And obviously, blessings upon blessings. I know right now with current situation, obviously health first, and let's make sure everyone's safe before anyone else is allowed back into stadiums. But I love the Etihad. I've been there. If I could afford to be there all the time, man, I would live there, bro. You know what I'm saying? I'll get myself get myself a.
I mean, I don't know if I can give myself that much, backing if I was, if the Emirates. I don't know, like if I'd be alive today, but like honestly, I'm not gonna like all things aside. Yeah, Manchester City have really done. Honestly, they've done amazing for themselves. Honestly, like, and it's good. It'll be good to see like maybe one day. Well, hopefully one day they'll win the UEFA. To to get.
Oh yeah, that's our stumbling block, isn't it?
Yeah, I think that's their major goal. That because I feel like they've done in terms of the domestic cups and everything. I think they've done it all too many times at this point. So I think they just made it.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it's all honestly, they're an amazing team, and it'll be interesting to see what they do next year. Considering I think like the league will also get a bit more competitive as well, with a couple of signings from Chelsea and United also coming strong. So Arsenal will be, we got William. So yeah, okay. So we'll see what. We'll see what.
So yeah, no, like, I guess to add on to what you're saying, I think with the new football season, it's just going to be interesting because teams are reshuffling and recruiting, and they're strengthening as well. So it's going to be a lot more competitive because everyone will want to compete up like at the top level with the likes of Liverpool and City to a degree. So we're looking to see how exciting that is. But obviously, I think a fun fact for all of you listeners, myself and Thabo, because we've known each other for I think over since grade 2, which is like year 1 in this country in the UK. But we've known each other that long, and our conversations can go for hours. So I'll be surprised if this podcast episode does not touch an hour. We'll see.
It doesn't end. It doesn't end. You guys will be listening to this for life.
Yeah, exactly. And the listeners will be listening like, oh, these guys talk about so much. But yeah, that's the beauty about how well we get on and the things we talk about, and I love that, man. I love that. So we'll get back onto the questions, and the next thing I want to ask you, because you've mentioned you're avid football fan, you're into fintech. You like anime, you like music, what would you say is your passion, right? Or passions, and what do you love most about them?
I would say like mostly my passion it's gonna be the obvious one of making videos. I mean, you know me and you know where this is going. I love making people laugh. Like that's one thing that, like, to make people happy is one of the best, is one of the things that I really always want to do and always want to achieve. Like, it could range from just general videos of my life, or just general videos like reacting to a situation. I'm just like, what is this? Like, why though? But why though? But in terms of, like, I just love making people laugh, and that's one of my passions. The other passion is looking in terms of, like, how to actually deal with, like, for example, financial situations. This is why I kind of got into accounting and finance and financial technology. One thing that I grew up around was a lot of people who are in financial debt. And I think, TK, you can vouch for me in terms of Zimbabwe. Like, in Zimbabwe, there's a lot of people experience that. And obviously I always wanted to, like, look at, like, innovative ways of dealing with them, like, even like with the technology that's currently out there. What can I do? Like, how can I give more access to people, for example, who don't, like, have who don't have access to financial assets, or let me say, like, in terms of, like, for example, people who can't make bank accounts, for example, like, what can they do? Because now we can't make a bank account. It's a bit difficult to deal with some situations. You have to also, like, rely on other people, and then it's a whole new thing. So, as well as, like, looking into, like, how people deal with their money, and people, like, understanding their tax systems, because, of course, like, not a lot of people are not going to look into tax because it's boring. So, so for some people, which is understandable, and it's also complex, which is a major issue. So obviously, I just want to make things more easier to understand in terms of that, and, like, making it more easier to know, like, how, like, to get some financial advice, and also just to understand a couple of things to make their financial lives a bit better. So yeah, those are my two major ones. I have too many, so I'll say those are my two major ones.
Yeah, man, those are two great ones as well. Like, it says a lot. Like, you want to do your best to put a smile on people's faces, even if they're feeling down, create content that can make them laugh. And, we definitely need more of that. And I'm pretty sure there's a lot of content out there already, but, there's nothing wrong with you adding your unique fire content out there, man, and making people laugh. And I think, on the second point about, like, finance and understanding finances and how people can better manage it, about simplifying the process for a lot of people. I think a lot of the time, these things, we never get taught as we're growing up. We learn them as we get older or get into spaces where we're actually dealing with money management. So, I can relate to a lot of people, and I'm pretty sure some of the listeners who are listening in can relate and say, well, in terms of financial management, I've had to learn the hard way, like, you've got bills to pay, and then you've decided to buy something else, and now you're short, and you've gone into overdraft or something like that. So you really see that, I need to be more conscious of my spending, how much I have, how much I'm spending on other things, utilities, luxuries, etc., etc., etc. So the fact that you want to find ways to actually better the process of understanding for people, or actually teach people a lot quicker or a lot sooner than they should do, it will help them obviously in the long run. So you're adding in, I would say, like, it's like what John, who's featured on the podcast, but in a previous episode, said, like, passing on that generational wealth. So is that crucial knowledge that people need to know before they get to that stage where they deal with money. Because once they do know, if they've got an idea of it, they'll be like, that's what Thabo was saying. You know what I mean? So at least
Yeah. Oh yeah. They got my name.
well, I'm pretty sure they will remember your name, because you've actually developed that avenue for them to make the most of. But yeah, that's very interesting. And I know as well, like, you've got other definite passions that obviously, with the video making, and I'm probably saying this ahead of point, but I know you've got some merch as well, on Teespring. I will definitely, it's Maxivate, yeah, Maxivate. So if you guys want to be sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, guys. Yes, advertise markets. Click that link below. Click it.
Yeah, man. So definitely check out my brother's merch as well. It's on Teespring. I'll include it in the description. It's called Max Evade. Right. Yeah, man. And that is merch, man. We're out here pioneering and obviously exploring new things as well. So as we're learning and we're picking up new things, we're trying other things as well. And obviously that's helping the growth and of knowledge and development stuff. And that's quite exciting, isn't it, bro?
Honestly, like I would say, like because it's like as we continue to grow and develop, like we always develop so many passions and so many things that we want to like go into and see what we can do and to the best of our abilities and see how far, like not even how far, but like what we can do in terms of that like specific industry. Like I would say, for example, like before I was into shoe designing, for example, do it from time to time, or at another time, like I'm also into acting, which I really love to do as well from time to time. And it's those different things that like you venture into and you just see how it gives you more ideas to like see what you can actually do and the print that you can actually provide, like let's say the legacy that you'd want to leave behind or the legacy that you want other people to know you for. So honestly, it's always amazing to like constantly develop yourself and constantly see what you can do and see the limits that you can break. And yeah, it's amazing. Oh, and a quick question for you, kind sir. What is your passion as well? I think that listeners would want to know your passion and why do you decide to go for that passion and why do you decide to follow it?
Right, bro. So yeah, to answer your question first, my passion, I would definitely say I've been for a long time since I was a young boy. I've been into planes, so aircraft and that. So growing up, when we used to visit now called Joshua Nkomo International Airport and even Harare International Airport, I would find the thrill of like seeing planes take off and the noise that they make, and like I'm just fascinated by how planes look so majestic in the sky. So I've always been an avid fan or avid lover of aviation. And also want to pursue my flying as well. So obviously touch wood, with all things going well, I want to become a pilot. And also like, use that to travel around the world, also create new opportunities for myself, for my loved ones, for close friends, for you, my brother as well. Like, use that to better myself, but also better the people around me. I could also say what else is my passion? I love learning new things. Like obviously, like recently I've learned how to do website development. So learning how to design websites and stuff. And, it's very interesting because you learn about this is completely new. So at first, when you're learning something new, it's so hectic because you're like, oh, what am I doing with myself? I don't even understand this. But the more time you give yourself, the better you get. And you're like, oh, actually, this is actually quite fun. This is quite easy. And you learn to do a lot more from what you've just learned. So, there's the website design. I love learning new things. That's just one aspect of it. I guess another thing I'm passionate about, I love my football as well. I love my sport. My favorite team, as people know earlier, is obviously Man City. A favorite player who recently just left, David Silva, who I've actually had the honor of meeting. Yeah, he's an amazing football player. I've had a chance of meeting him, have a mini dialogue. So I think maybe at most 10 words were exchanged between me and him. So yeah, it's better than nothing. Yeah.
Oh, amazing player. Amazing. That's enough. Hey, listen, man, I haven't even talked to Thierry Henry, fam. So, so hey.
That is still very, very possible as well, bro. Like you can definitely go back or at some point, you never know where you might meet him. So you just have, approach him, have a chat and then see how things go. Because obviously at the same time, all of these guys we look up to, they're also people as well. And obviously they want to be treated as people. So that's very, very important. I'm trying to think of what else I'm passionate about. I'm passionate about my family and of my close friends, obviously people who, have looked after me. I want to also give back to them and help them out as well. So anyone who's helped me, I'm also passionate about helping them as well, getting them to the next stage, supporting them, watching them grow. And that's another thing. And I think finally, I'll probably say I love what I'm passionate about is obviously the journey of progression in the sense that, you're starting with something and you're watching it grow, but you're also a part of the process and you're part of the reason why it's progressing and you're learning new things about how to make that better. So as you start something new, you take on a new challenge, you learn about it, you become one with it. That sounds like a, I don't know what we call it, but you become one with it, you understand it more, and then you begin to grow it and develop it as you work on it as well, which is quite interesting because you learn a lot quicker about things when you're actually doing it. So you're like, okay, I want to see if I can, like you mentioned about designing shoes, which I think also as well, man, that's fascinating, bro. Like, you're designing shoes, like, man, I'm out here just buying shoes, man, and you're designing shoes, man. Like, I need to copy a design that you've made. Like, so things like that, man. You've taken the time to learn about it. And you also said, like, you mentioned about the thrill of learning something new and the fact that when you're doing it, you learn so many other things and you add so much to yourself. So you become multidimensional as well. So it's one of those where you've picked up shoe design, like your video design, you got the acting. Bro, I never knew you were an actor before. Like when you told me, I was like, wow, my guy's an actor as well. Bro, we should probably start a mini sitcom or something like that. I don't know, man. Like we'll probably
Oh man.
that would be crazy, bro. Like we'll probably think of something. If there's anyone listening who's at Netflix, we've got two bright-minded individuals here who'd like to sit down and have talks and come up with something creative. So definitely give us a shout. Yeah, yeah.
We will give you the idea. We will give you, and we'll ask Studio 263 cast to come through, fam. To come through and give you experience. We'll, the Zim people will know this.
Oh yeah, absolutely, bro. Studio 263, man. That was the drama. Oh wait, the TV show of Zimbabwe, man. That was a TV show, man. That was the one. But yeah. So as we progress on, bro, the next thing also we're going to talk about, who would you say is, or who would you say has inspired you and made a positive impact on you? So it's not limited to one person. It can be a whole range of people. So I just want to hear, and I'm pretty sure the listeners want to hear as well, who's inspired you.
It's mostly my parents, to be fair. One thing that I always want, well, me growing up and me looking at my dad is like I always wanted to be a man or father that resembles him, or let me say even better. Why do I want to be better? Because I want to be better. So I feel like with how he's looked at in terms of the society, in terms of like the people around him, what he does for people, like in terms of like it can be in terms of helping people, even just looking into charities, looking into just generally the job he does, generally like just generally the man who he is today is something that I always work towards, and especially and as well looking on my mother's side, it's like is the same thing as well. Also in terms of the hard work, the dedication, that those traits that they both possess. So in terms of that, I want to be like them. Outside, in terms of like my family members, I'll go with Nelson Mandela, because I feel when I looked into his history and I read about it, it was quite intriguing for me. One thing I really want from him is his determination and his resilience. I mean, goodness gracious, like that's another thing that I genuinely like. No matter what like no matter the obstacles and everything, like I have my fair share of resilience. But I feel everyone like who is watching this and who knows the life of Nelson Mandela, just even who he is in general, would also like know or even just think that like, okay, this man, he did a lot in order to see to it that the people that he wanted to flourish, the people that he wanted to change their lives, he did everything in his power, no matter what obstacle came through to get to his goals. And honestly, he was amazing. Still is an amazing man. And obviously, rest in peace to him. But yeah. So those are the people who I look up to. And who do you look up to, sir?
Right, yeah. So to start off with, yeah, those are some brilliant examples. Obviously, shout out to your parents as well, man. And it's one of those where I think I agree with you. Like for my side, I can also say like my parents have been positive impact. They've helped obviously navigate. Obviously, they've raised us in a world where it's difficult to do things, especially with obviously like regardless of what's happening in Zim, they've managed to navigate and educate us and show us the way. And obviously, most importantly, like discipline us as well. So they've kept us on track. And obviously Nelson Mandela, he's a legend. His legacy will carry on. He's done a lot of things for humanity and for freedom and liberation as well. So it's quite interesting. It's quite easy. He's quite an exceptional role model in that sense. So for me personally, man, I would say my inspirations, like mum and dad, hard workers, probably the most optimistic and tenacious people I've met, hardworking, always looking on the positive side of things. My family, I think, who else could I say? So I'm also going to take the time here to think about who I'd say has inspired me. So I think growing up, I'd say my inspirations have been, like I said, my parents, my siblings, my brother and sister, they've been amazing. I would also I'd say he's a fictional character, but Harvey Specter from Suits of Gabriel Mag.
Ah, yes, I loved him. I loved him before.
So, the persona of Harvey Specter has been amazing. I think the way he took on things, the way he had a no-nonsense approach, he wasn't afraid. Even if he failed, he found a way to always win in the end. So that's also inspirational. Footballer-wise, I'd probably say David Silva, most humble person, hardworking player I've seen. The likes of N'Golo Kante, hard worker, but he never says anything, man. He's always got a smile on his face, but he works hard. He doesn't complain. Well, I don't know if he complains or not. Obviously, Chelsea players, if there's anyone who's listening in, they can tell us. But no, they can say that.
Maybe that's why he was complaining before he left to Chelsea, innit? From Leicester. Who knows?
Yeah, exactly, man. I'll probably say as well, like, on top of those guys, there's
Bro, you have brought in more examples than I have. But you, yeah, you are going through everything.
that's the thing, innit? I'm trying to think of all the people who've inspired me to do a lot of things.
Would you look at basketball now?
Well, LeBron James is fantastic role model as well, man. He's an inspiration. Sports wise, man. He's the example of, your upbringing doesn't determine where you end up. You work hard, you put in the craft, and you will succeed. And you also have to stick to your guns as well. I would say another personal inspiration, man, is my bro Daniel Nuri, up and coming entrepreneur. He's an amazing friend. I met him only recently, but his persona, Tabo, you would love him if you met him as well, man. He's positive. He's aspirational. He's also got like looking to help others and grow as a person and become better and continuously learn and stuff. So he's also a great example. I'm probably going to list a whole lot of people now. So who else would I say has inspired me? Well, I mean,
Yeah. I was also like, crap, okay. I mean, I could also now list because that was so to the point. I'm just like, okay, flip. Because I was also going to. No. You can finish. You can finish off. You can finish off. Because now I'm like, as you're listing, I'm like, okay. There are also a lot more people. I don't know why I didn't put them in, but now that I didn't put them in, they're gonna be like, oh, you couldn't put me in first, so, you needed to think about it, huh? You needed to think about it.
yeah, well, I guess the beauty about it, Tab, was obviously as we're recording now, you could, after I finish off, you could also go back and say, I've also been empowered and inspired by like A, B, C, D. But
Oh, I thought you were gonna say you're gonna edit it and you're just gonna put it in my answer before, and then like, man is just gonna just like let it slide. Let it slide.
of course. So to explain what would happen is like you could say answers like after I speak now, and then all I have to do is just copy and then paste them into where you're giving all the answers, and then I can just merge it as to make it sound as if you're continuously saying like who your inspirations are. So I think another person, who's been inspiring, Martin Luther King, with adversities he faced, and the fact that he kept a positive attitude and he was very inspirational to people. And I think another person is Barack Obama for me. He's also been inspirational. I don't know how many of these people I'm probably going to include in my final list. I'm probably going to just keep it simple. Maybe parents, like one or two celebs here and there. But yeah, those guys have been inspirational, bro. And they've really helped us learn a lot of things. So I'll ask you, who else would you say has inspired you that you didn't get a chance to say?
I would say, I don't know why I always think of elders first, but one person that really I want to continue to when I say impress, not impress. Is my sister. I feel she has been a major key in the development that I've been going through recently, especially like for the past couple of years. And it's because like she's honestly, I don't even know where to start with her. I think like in terms of like her directness, her will to like always like care for others, her will to just generally like do what she feels is right. Those are the key things that she's taught me, because I was a person before that. I think I would let slide from time to time, and I wouldn't really bother. I wouldn't mind. Like, I really was just that person to just let things flow. And I was like, you know what? Like, after like understanding who she was, and I was that person to be like, oh, okay, this is interesting. Like, let me try and go for that route. Let me try and like see what like, and she always like helped me out in terms of developing my like those traits about me. So she is a major key, especially like to who I am right now. In terms of basketball, Lord, I would say Tim Duncan is one. I think Tim Duncan, with how he went about everything, in terms of how humble he was, he didn't disrespect, like in terms of like obviously the coach. Why am I forgetting his name? Right. Okay. Well, he never disrespected the coach. He always like played to his best of abilities. Even like when he was aging, like he was always about teamwork. He wasn't about like, he just always was about doing the best he can, and he was a winner like through that. So not a lot of people would say like in terms of like, yeah, he was one of the most humble people in NBA, to be honest, NBA history, and in terms of like the person who just wants to like the people around him to, you know, accomplish so much as well. LeBron James is one. Kobe, R.I.P., was, in terms of his hard work ethic, second to none. And when it comes to football, football. Oh, wow, football. Football, I was going to say Henry, but in terms of his quality and in terms of like what he, like in terms of, if, I hope people know like what happened like with Henry and like how he started off with Arsenal, because he wasn't really the best in terms of like people like were not optimistic with him, you know, like this was those times when like, oh yeah, we didn't know where he was going, what he was going to be. It was Arsenal was just being Arsenal, and man, he proved all his doubters wrong. He became one of the best strikers to ever live in the Premier League. And another guy is Aubameyang. Currently, if I would say, current players, man, Aubameyang is one happy guy. He's one guy that is especially who I want to be. Like the guy who always wants to entertain, the guy who always wants to like make sure everyone around him is happy. Like always brings a smile, like no matter what it is. Like even like when everyone's back is against the wall, he does his best to come through. So he, like in terms of current football players, he's one person I genuinely want to be like, and I would want to talk to as well. And in terms of music, Eminem. Eminem. He's one of my best. He's one of the best artists in like, I feel like, in my perspective. And whoever's watched 8 Mile can see what he went through. So, and to see what he's become, and especially like, you know, the role, like how he's transitioned from his past self, like the Slim Shady side of things, to who he is now. So it's crazy to know like the life he lived, and like to see how hardworking he really was, to see like the trials and tribulations that he actually went through. Even like, he's now more closer with his mom. He's now become a better role model than what people would say was a role model before. So in terms of like how, like what obstacles came with him, like especially like when like back in the day, like obviously rap was a black thing. So so you know, him coming up, not a lot of people really like that. And so it was, obviously there's also that history of, you know, of like, okay, you know, like, here we go again. So it's just like, it's those type of things where like, it was always good to, like, he's always that person that like, he keeps on proving people wrong. He keeps on like, and he also tries to bring people up as well. He proves people, like whenever obstacles come through, he proves people wrong, and he just goes about his business. That's that. Like no one, that's one. Like he doesn't really like flex and all those typical things. He just goes about his business, tries to take care of the people around him. So yeah, those are mostly my role models. Very broad, because they're all different.
Yeah, there's a whole lot, man. And what I can say is, you know, I think we've been inspired by a large number of people, both personally and also on the grander scale, like out there in the world, I think we can't forget to mention, the likes of 50 Cent and Will Smith. I think Will Smith, with his work ethic and his drive and his desire to be the best actor in the world. And he's done like a lot of crazy stuff, like, death defying stuff. Like he does like adrenaline rushing things, and you're like, this guy is really living life to the fullest. And I know that obviously we'll get to that stage, not on his level, on our own levels, on our own unique levels, but he's consistently put in the graft and worked, and he's built himself up to get to where he was. So a lot of the examples you've mentioned and I've mentioned, they started slow, but they built up momentum, and they are successful people now, and obviously the success continues to grow because they continue to lay down bricks to bring in other people and build them up, and then also build themselves up in essence, and then helps like the continuous process of obviously passing down generational wealth of knowledge, wisdom, positive energy, all of that, man. So definitely, I think there's one person we may have left out that's been amazing, man. And Dr. Dre, Jay-Z, entrepreneurs, all those guys, man.
Oh yeah, I would also say Jay-Z as well. Man, those guys have been absolutely, man.
So it obviously, like, with me and you, like, as the listeners have clearly seen already, me and you can branch off and talk about a lot of things. But the next question I was going to ask you is, what experience have you gone through that has shown you that positivity still exists in people and in the world?
I have two experiences about. The first experience I'll start off with is there was this youth organization I used to be under called Uprising, the Uprising Leadership Program. And basically, this is kind of a program where like it helps us understand, like, in terms of how we can get our voice out in terms of what we want to follow. So it can be politics, it can be human rights, it can be animal rights, it can be also in terms of going green, or all these different causes that you'd want to fight for example. So for example, as you know, I'm a big guy in terms of politics. I'm not going to delve into too much, don't worry about it. But basically, like, I was actually like on Sky, and this was on the time where, when was this? This was like early Brexit times. So at these times, like, I was with the group, and we're just meant to generally talk about like the results that we had in terms of what we're trying to achieve that day. And going through that and like understanding, like, oh yeah, people can still care. Like, they still care about like, oh, what should happen like in the future? What should happen with the youth? What should happen with all these different things? Even like with the organization itself, like with the people I was surrounded with, like, it really made me believe that, okay, there's still like people who really want to see other people flourish. They want to see like the youth elders, they want to see like people flourish. They want to see people have better lives. They want to, even animals have better lives. They want to see, like, that whole experience itself just showed me, like, in terms of how amazing, like, how positive like this world can generally still be. So yeah, guys, if you always, like, to the listeners, if you always think that there is someone that, if you always think like you're in a particular place and time where you think that, okay, no one, like, it's not positive around you, like, you need to, like, look out, just search out, and trust me, you'll find someone, or you'll find a group that will be positive, that will also like want to see you flourish, that will want to see you like thrive. So don't ever think that no one would ever do that for you. So, and secondly, oh yes, my second one was with the business I have back home in, like, when I was starting and I was getting a couple customers. It's the one difficult thing is getting like people to help you out, especially like do stuff, for example, like even market, for example, or even like to continue to there's a lot of issues that come with starting when it comes to starting with the business. And one positive thing about it was with the person I used to work with, close friend of mine, he's doing music as well currently. His name is Loshy. So if you guys want to look at his music, link in the description. I don't even know what the link will be in the description, but we will see about that. We'll see about that. But the name is out. So basically he and I have shared the same views in terms of like what we wanted in terms of the gaming business to come out with, because, well, with me, I really cherish gaming a lot, and I do want to see other people like be entertained, like enjoy themselves, especially like in times like this, especially in Zimbabwe. So like having kids like just enjoy themselves from time to time is amazing, and to see them smile, laugh, be competitive, it's always cool to see. And it just brought that joy to me, that knowing that, oh yeah, like this guy helped me out, as well as like the clients that came in also like were willing to even like help me out in terms of like taking care of things while I left here, and my aunt as well. So it just showed me that like there's always like people out there who want to help you. There are always people out there who want to like see you, that want to see you flourish. So I think those two experiences really like how they really showed me that there's still positivity in this world. There's still positivity in this world. And that's what I'll say. What about on your side? What experiences do you feel like that really changed, that you saw that, okay, this actually, the world really still has a positive impact, and it's pushed you to carry on in terms of having a positive impact on the world?
I guess to answer yours first before also to respond to what you were saying, I think like you've given some great, those are two powerful examples or of how like you've seen positivity in the world. Because obviously the first one, they're more about people continuously learning and educating themselves and being aware of their surroundings and being more culturally aware of things and being more self-conscious, which is very, very important. And, you know, the fact that they were driven to always make sure that people should always want to develop themselves, and they wanted to nurture that. That's really, really powerful. And it's a very valuable trait to then like pass on to others or try and get others to take on board, because they can also continuously pass that down. And then I guess secondly, man, it's very good, you know, congratulations obviously on the gaming business. You know, it's very good that the vision you had for that was to help others like connect, socialize, have fun, be happy, and also like you seeing that, you know, it also like helped you in terms of like, you know, you seeing how best can I then cater to the needs of my customers, and you've got a business partner who was there who believed and also pushed you, and you pushed each other, and that was very, very powerful. So what would you say the name of your artist, what's his name?
His full name is Loshy, but his actual stage name, there we go, is Loshy. Okay, so it's Loshy then ZW. So guys, check him out, guys. His music is dope. I like flip. Damn it. Am I gonna give you no. Wait. One more. I would give you a recommendation first, you know, so that you can listen. I'd say the first okay, Immolate Part 2. Check that one out first to see what it's about, because that track was fire. Well, in my perspective, it was fire. So if you think otherwise, you can debate about that with me. You can debate that about with me on another podcast, I guess. But like yeah. So hopefully you guys check him out. He's really good, and yeah, we continue. We continue.
Yeah, so I guess with that, man, if you can get in contact with him, we can have his music play on the episode. So if you can get him to send me his music, and then I can promote it on the podcast. Or I could actually get him on as a guest as well, and also promote his music. So it would work both ways. So getting his music out there and like getting more listeners and stuff. So, you know, I guess the next thing I was gonna ask you, you know, we've spoken. Oh, I was supposed to give my examples, wasn't I? So for me, I have two examples. Most recently, a very good friend of mine, called Jenny. You know, I met her through university and my time in Enactus. I basically, obviously, when COVID happened, you know, obviously people were told to go into lockdown and stuff. And what really shined out of that situation, obviously, she offered me a place to stay. And, you know, that really says a lot when there's some people who are not in accommodation or anything, you know, she offered to take me in and look after me, obviously during the period of COVID-19, which I'll always be grateful for. And also shout out to Jen. The second example is probably,
Shout out Jenny.
yeah, shout out Jenny.
Jenny!
So the other one I would say happened in 2017 as I was about to complete my course. At this time, I was trying to look for work and I struggled to find a job and I didn't have money and I was eating one meal a day and
student life, man. Flip. I know.
Yeah, it was so bad. Like, I ended up, but what was positive about it was, the close friends I have and I'm still in touch with, Romario and Junaid and Pamir as well. Shout out Pamir. His episode is one of the earlier episodes that were featured on this podcast. But, there were incidents that happened where they helped me. Like, I think one was when my tire burst on on my car. Pamir helped me change. He went out of his way to come up all the way to Stevenage and help me out. Junaid and Romario, when I was struggling for food, they were able to help me out here and there. And this was all happening during our study time. So I'm extremely grateful to those guys. Shout out to all of them and God bless them because, they took time out of their busy and hectic lives to help me out. So those are my examples of when positivity has been shown in the world. But yeah, thank you for asking me to say that, Tabo. It's really refreshing getting somebody to ask me my own questions. So
Honestly, because like I mean, like the listeners, they don't want to only hear the person who they want to know who the interviewer is. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
They want to know who Mr. Sir Takura Sabanda is. So honestly, like I would say, like to add on to your experiences, wow. Honestly, to have friends like those, especially, is amazing. Like it's something that people like. Obviously, like some people like want to have as well. They want to have the same in terms of connections. They want to see people like who, like, they don't have like friends who are just there. You know what I mean? Like they're just there when you're doing good. And then when you're not doing good, boom, disappeared. So it's always refreshing as well to know that, like, especially like with that experience, that it's actually amazing that there are people out there that do want to see you like strive and they want to see you like, even though you're going through tough times, like that's one thing that people, like some people can't do. Like some people just literally want to leave you out because like now, oh yeah, we don't want to be with that guy. You know what I mean? He's adding negative vibe. Like he's going through tough times, blah, blah. We want to stay positive. You know what I mean? And then they're always those close, those people, like the people that like you just put out, man. Shout out to them, honestly, man. Shout out to them because those are the realest people that like people still continue to look for and flip. Yeah, so it's always good. I mean, I have my real friends too. Do they want to be called out? Yeah, here we go. Okay, here we go. Shout out to Lisa. Shout out to everybody. Naomi. Who else? Who we got? Ooh, Tendai, Flip. Am I really gonna list people right now?
Bro, like if you want to mention like a few names or whichever, man, just let me know, man. Like,
okay, so I want to mention let me just mention these names on all seriousness. Also, on that note, I also have an experience like that. With Lisa, especially, like, she also would help me in tough times as well. And like, we generally help each other and push each other. She had her fair share of things out there. Some of them are a bit too personal, so I can't really put them out now. Sorry, my bad. I can't put them out at all. Sorry, guys. If you want to go to her, look for her, fam. She has a charity now. So I would say like, charity. Would I say charity? Sorry, my bad. Not charity. She helps out in terms of like bringing out awareness for people to actually use protection, or for people to understand like can I call them the diseases that like you can contract. So for example, she's currently done something in Nigeria. I'm not so sure in terms of the progress. I haven't asked her in terms of the progress and the results that she's had. Yeah, bad friend I am. Right. So she went to Nigeria a while back, and she provided talks, and she also provided like in terms of sex education, the protection, and also like in terms of like, I think she was also providing equipment for some clinics or something like that. So I don't want to go too much into it because I think I might be lying at some. That's kind of the information I know. So she actually wanted to do, like before this all started, she generally was thinking of going into that. And it's something I'm like, for example, like I was so happy to like know as well, like even though, yeah, people can tell me about the number of organizations that are out there, but to know that someone that, you know, like where they were at the time and the success that they want to go for. And like, it was always refreshing to know how positive she always was, and how positive she was to help me out as well, and how I would want to push her as well. Like I want to like whatever we went through, like I just generally was like, nah, no, we got to get through this. So it was always good to know, like, even it was even good to just know that, there are always those positive people out there. Naomi is another one because I was going through a lot like the past couple of years. And I also want to give a shout out to my old uni as well, because one thing is like after my uncle passed, RIP to him, like I couldn't deal with, like there was like exams coming through and I couldn't really deal with them. They helped me out in terms of assisting me and getting a counselor to help me out with things. And through that, I kind of understood myself even more. I kind of understood my limits. I kind of understood like what I had to do to kind of like continue to overcome the obstacles that would come in the future. So, like there's a lot of experiences I've had in my life, but even my sister as well, like she's just a genuine positive, like, oh goodness. There's a lot of experiences that I've had, like this continues to like show that, okay, there's still so much positive in life. And it's always good to always know that because some people don't find that. So sorry to ramble on about that. Ramble on about that, but flip,
That's perfectly fine, man. And shout out to all the people you've mentioned. Lisa, Naomi, your sister, your old university. I think Manchester Met. And it really does, like in moments like that. Obviously, R.I.P. to your uncle and that, and my condolences. In moments like that, it really shows how humanity can trump everything. Positive things can over trump negative things, and you can squash it all out. And those are prime examples that me and you have both mentioned. That it's about having that, and that's what's helped us drive on, because them helping us in that position has helped us push on to where we are now and where we're going to go, and we're going to potentially help them and other people, and it's going to be a massive ball that builds momentum and it keeps going and going and going. So the next thing, we'll move on to the next question. And this question, obviously, it's on what you've mentioned before, like obviously taking, starting a business, going into another field, we're doing a field with fintech, trying and learning all of these things, all of these new things, the branding, the designing, the acting. But, can you tell our listeners about how you've overcome challenges you faced?
I think for me, before I continue, for people who I have not mentioned, do not say that I do not care. I do care. I was just thinking of the recent things that have been happening. Right, getting back to because flip, I'll be getting calls like, hey, so what about my name? Hey, guys, you all are equal to me, fam. It's just that I completely forgot in this short-term memory. Right. So getting back, I would say like one of the things I would say is like I would sometimes step back and basically like ask others people. One thing like I think it's difficult is to ask for other people, like to see like what they would do in this situation. Because when sometimes like I know this for me is that I'm a person who's a perfectionist, and as well as a person who continues to just headbutt something, a wall, even though it's still like I will still continue to do it as much as possible. But I think sometimes like the most important thing is to like look at different perspectives, and I would ask other people's opinions to be like, okay, like how do you think I can like come through with this issue that I've seen? And I always take their perspectives. I digest their I take in their perspectives. I take in their perspectives. I don't know if that's the right word, but flip. I take in their perspectives and I see like, okay, I try to use their perspectives and see where I can go with it. Because sometimes it's not even you sometimes, generally. It's maybe at the point like in terms of like you just have to see from different perspectives to even understand like the obstacles that you're trying to overcome. So for me, that's usually, and secondly, I always just continuously continuously remind myself about the objectives that I want to do all the time, every single time. Like I always tell myself, okay, why am I doing this? Why am I doing this in the first place? And I continue to be like, okay, before I would write down a quote and then look at that quote. And it was, I don't remember specifically what it was because I lost it a while back, but it was related to saying that this is all in order to give back to the family, to do like for your future endeavors, to help out in terms of people around you. It was generally like related to that. So I would always look at that quote and be like, okay, this is it. This is it. This is it. And take a step back, breathe, think about it, and then carry on. And carry on hitting it until I break the obstacle. So, those two are my general ways of me, like how I usually overcome my challenges. Because even like when it came to business, man, like it was like sometimes you need to step back, man. You need to step back because sometimes it's like you're just like, okay, like let me just ask her. Like for example, I'd ask my business partner, I'd ask my aunt because she was also my business partner. I would be like, okay, listen, guys, this is happening right now. This is happening right now. Where do you think it comes down to? Because for example, like when it came down to marketing and things like that, they would give me ideas. Like for example, my aunt she was a manager of Edgar's, for example, and she had all the experience in the world when it came down to getting customers. And my partner, Loshy, he was in Poly for doing marketing. So it was those things where like it was a good thing to generally ask them because I would first like see what's out there, do what I like the procedures that I also consider to like be good marketing procedures. And then like I talk to them and be like, oh, okay, do you think this is the best way of doing things? And then to get better results. So yeah. That's basically, that was, I would overcome my challenges, to be fair.
Yeah, and those are some two ways you've done it. You look at overcoming challenges, but if you think about it, it's probably more than two because when you break it down further, you've got taking a step back, reaching out to people, which I'm also familiar with as well, man. I do that a lot, man. Sometimes when you take a step back, you distract yourself, and you speak to somebody else about that problem because they offer a fresh perspective and they're a fresh pair of eyes looking into the situation you're dealing with at the moment. So whatever they say to you, they'll probably say things that you didn't even consider in the first place. So you're like, oh, damn, you have obviously the podcast doesn't have any swearing, but obviously, you have you've got oh snap, like I never thought of that moment. And then you actually say, actually, that's actually a good idea. I don't know why I never thought of that. But that's the beauty of when you reach out to people and you speak to them about what you're going through and they add value to what the situation is like. You now add more ways of thinking onto it. And, it's one of those as well, like, you have to keep believing in what you're looking at because obviously the road to success itself is not a straight line. It's going to be a road that's got loads of meanders and stuff, like lots of curves. If you remember the days when we played Gran Turismo 2, man, those terrains and the race tracks were like always bending and stuff. So I guess as we progress, man, we're going with the route that's set in front of us, and obviously there's lots of bends and stuff. And yeah, I would say that those are two great ways of overcoming challenges, and thank you for sharing those, bro. So, the next thing I'll probably ask, bro, is in terms of like when you're taking on all these things and, learning something new, business management, like you've been in difficult situations as well, but like in some cases, in life as well, like we've got trials and we've got tribulations, bro. So in the moments where we go through trials, what do you think is the most valuable thing about failure as you're progressing through and you're developing yourself and you're learning things and all of that?
I would feel there are two key things when like it comes to failure. One is how you react to it. I think this is one essential thing that comes down to, because I think like as you continue to fail, you continue to, depending on the personality you have, you see how you react like to the failures. And I think like people, like when failures come, they should react in a way that is, okay, like where can I go? Like in terms of like, oh, I can't do this anymore. Let me drop it. It's more like, okay, I've now understood this. I've now seen like my limits. Like, let me work on myself and see what I can further carry and I can further do. I think like in terms of in terms of that, that's where I think like people should look into how they should be reacting to fail. Even just, for example, reacting to even negative feedback, and like it all starts from there. Because if you can't react well to negative feedback, imagine how you would react to a failure in something that you wanted to do personally. Not even a failure in that what someone else wanted you to achieve, but just you personally that you wanted to do, because now it was something that you chose to do. And if you react negatively in that way, it is so detrimental to your development and to what you want to do, because you won't really, in terms of like how you now want to do, like how you want to achieve your goals, you'll become more, how can I say this? Your goals won't be as, it'll be more, let me say this, for example. My grandmother would say, aim for the sky, right? And at least you can drop to the tree. If you aim for the ground, you stay on the ground. So that's how I would put, like, say, like, in terms of reacting to like, so fine, you did try reaching for the sky, but you were closer. You at least you got to the trees. You know what I mean? Maybe next thing you'll get to a tall building, then you'll get to the clouds, then you'll be the stars, fam. So hey, you never know. Like, it takes, like, rather than like setting a subpar goal that oh, okay, fine, yeah, everyone can do it. It kind of like sets, like, it does, like, like, and due to the fact that, oh yeah, you failed in this one thing, it doesn't like push you, you know what I mean, to see your limits. So I would say, like, in terms of reacting to, in terms of the reaction. So my second one was was relating to, like, what to do next. So what I mean, like, in terms of how to take it is, it's like different from reaction, but mostly it's focusing on what you do, on the next steps of it. So if you, for example, let's say high school, for example, and you see midterms that you fail an exam whatsoever, blah, 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 what next steps do you take? Like, now, fine, you've reacted positively to it. You're like, you know what, I can do more. But now it's the next steps, like, to continue to develop yourself. Even like like starting a business, even going to uni. Like, I'm even at a job, and like, it's always like, you always want to see what to do next after the failure. Fine, you'll fail. You might fail again and again and again and again and again. Man, I feel Michael Jordan has a whole quote about this. You can fail like 50 times. But let me say that 51st time, that 51, when you succeed, it will be so amazing. Like, fine, like, it took you so long, but it will be so amazing. You will get that feeling, like, and you look at the steps that you took as well. Like, it helps you to become even a better person because you learn from your failures. So it's not about, you look at your failures and you look at them to say, oh, I regret that I did those failures. No. You look at them in a positive manner to be like, oh yes, I'm so glad that I went through those failures, because who knows what I would be like if I never did that. If I never did that, like, I could be another person that would be still thinking about doing it. You know what I mean? And like, people, like, and for that reason, like, some people generally don't want to do anything. They don't want to do so much because they see that and they're like, oh my gosh, like, oh, I've seen so many other people fail, and I don't want, and now, like, you don't even think about the steps anymore. You're just there like, nah, allow it, bun it, right? Bun it. So it's always, you just look at the steps off, like, just, So my first one is how you react to the failure. And secondly, how, like, the steps you take afterwards, because those are really essential things when it comes down to dealing with failures, honestly, in my perspective. What do you think? Do you have your own key values in terms of, like, in terms of the failures?
All right. So for me, the most valuable thing about failure itself is it's feedback to you. You're getting instant feedback on what you've tried to do, and you've learned that particular way that you've attempted to do something has not worked, right? And now you have the opportunity to change your approach and try another way of doing it that would potentially lead to it being successful. Most likely it will, because the more you try different ways of doing things after you failed the first, second, third, 50th, 51st, 52nd time, you find a different way of executing that same thing. And once you execute it that way and you've overcome it, like you said, the celebration, it's immense. You feel like doing the Aguero celebration, like back when City won the title in 11-12 at the last minute goal against QPR, right? So I think as well, with failure, it's an opportunity for you to reflect on what you did initially, right? And see, like, what could you have done differently? So this ties perfectly into what you said about next steps. So, okay, I tried it this way, it didn't work. Okay, so what can I do now? Let me try this way. Let me speak to this person. He may or she may know this, right, on how to overcome it. And then you're constantly in a position where it's an opportunity. I also think failure is an opportunity for you to learn and get better at that specific thing. Because obviously, leaning into the quote, that's a cliche, but like, Rome was not built in a day. And you doing something, obviously you're not going to expect perfection the first time round. I could also say for this podcast, my first episode, it didn't sound as great. The second episode, yes, it was getting better. Third episode, better and better. Fourth episode, better and better. So it's a constant cycle where I'm like, okay, first time round, I won't even lie to anyone. Like the editing software I use to edit the podcast, I had no idea how to use it. And I was stuck and I was like, oh, how am I going to edit this podcast episode? But then I took the time to research about the program I was going to use, the best way to introduce a podcast, like a podcast episode, intros, outros, transitions, things like that, ums and ah counters, like it's going to happen. Anyone who's thinking off the top of their head, even if they're prepared, they're going to say or ah at some point. So thinking about how to make the conversation smoother as you speak, right? And for me, is that automatic feeling that, okay, this way hasn't worked. Okay, we need to find a better way of overcoming what the challenge we're facing. I think also as well, I think a perfect example, and a lot of the people in my Enactus T side, shout out Enactus T side, I helped to develop, help them. I joined in 2018. I was recruited by a lovely girl called Anna, and I've left the team now, but when you join Enactus, you're facing challenge upon challenge upon challenge upon challenge every single week. So I'm thankful that I had a mentor called, shout out JPal. And, we're looking at the problems and we're thinking at that point, because of when I got into the president's role, but I was thinking all these problems are just a problem. We need to find a way to overcome those problems. So with every challenge that another team member or I would see, I'll be already thinking, right, this way hasn't worked. What other ways are we thinking of? Let's brainstorm some solutions here because we really need them to progress things, right? So I was already in the Mamba mentality that I was refusing to say no. I was constantly in the process of, okay, let's find the solution. Obviously, RIP Kobe, shout out to Kobe and obviously regards to his family, but always in the position, always in that mindset that let's keep going, let's keep trying, whatever happens, win or lose, let's keep going, let's keep developing, let's learn something new, let's find new ways of overcoming it, let's consistently encourage each other and stuff like that. And that's what I think comes out of a failure that happens. I know for me, I've also expanded and I've built a storyline from, like, obviously something as simple as what do you think is the most valuable thing about failure? But I think it's how you build it up and how you use that to then become better and become multi-dimensional. But yeah, are you going to say anything on top of that? You're like, damn, bruh.
No, I was actually no, I was gonna say, Brad, honestly, like, I absolutely agree with every point there and I really do wish, like, hopefully, like, things like to take away, especially on this point to you listeners out there is like, don't expect failure to be a useless thing, for example. Like, don't expect failure to be something you can't learn from. Don't expect even like failures from friendships, failure from any failure that you encounter is something that you can learn from, and it can help you further develop and make you become a better person. Not even a better person in general, but to help you achieve your goals. Even like, let me just say this, for example, like with the friendships that you would have, this is just a general example because I mean, everyone is more likely to have a friend. So for the friendships that you may have and you don't see, and in terms of like you and you don't see that, like, they don't see you as someone that can be the best person that you can reach your potential, or they think that your potential is like what you are at that point. So in terms of like understanding that, oh, okay, fine. Like you tried to go through this friendship, but the friendship did not work. You learn from that friendship. You say, oh, okay, fine. Like I understand, like with some people are going to be like this and other people are going to be like that. So like, as you can see there, like you already learned from something. So any failure that you do encounter, you will learn from it. So don't be afraid to fail, guys. Honestly, don't be afraid. Or I don't want to sound like the person who's gonna be like, oh yeah, you're always going to fail. Nah, but you're always gonna fail though. But like, if you are to encounter it, like as what Takura said, and as well as what I said, like when you do succeed after the failures, you will, oh my god, you will enjoy the living lights out of it. So yeah, that was my leading point on that. On that point, and yeah, that's all I gotta add to. That's all I gotta add to it.
Yeah, no, I agree, bro. And it's a really special thing as well. How you take it on and use that to expand knowledge, expand skill set, and really grow as a person. and it's exciting, isn't it? You learn from all your experiences, and then you become better at them. So yeah, we'll get onto that. And so the next thing I'm gonna ask you, bro, is with everything that's going on now, it's a really exciting time, and I want to ask you what excites you about the future going forward.
I think I would say like the success of my counterparts. Like I think to look at the future, like generally now, like what really excites me more is to see what, like for example, like how good where this podcast goes, how far you like in terms of your merch. P.O.T.N, get it out, okay, guys, get it. It's fly, okay, it's fly. I'm copying one right now, like I'm clicking on it right now, like so. I always like one thing that I'm excited to see in the future is always seeing like the development, like what the goals, like my friends' goals, how the progress where they're at, the success that they've achieved in terms of happiness, financially, or anything different, even spiritually. And that's what really always excites me about the future. Of course, technology and like where, in terms of, let's say, for example, what fintech is going to be, how it's going to be incorporated in all sectors is also exciting to me. It's interesting to understand that there's so much potential as well with blockchain technology, with AIs. Like there's still so much that can be done with the technology that, which in the future is going to be a very essential part of, I believe, in business procedures as a whole. But like the most important thing is like seeing like where my friends are, even my family members are in terms of the success that they've achieved and what they keep on going. So yeah, I can't wait, and I can't wait to carry on pushing them. That's the name of the game for me. You continue to pull and push, to pull and push. So yeah.
Exactly, bro. Yeah.
And you, like, what excites you more about the future?
For me, I think, along what you said, it's seeing how far or how big we can build up the ventures we go into, because I'm pretty sure besides what we're working on right now, there's going to be other things we take on and we discover going forward as technology progresses and advances. There's going to be new things that we take on, and it's the excitement about seeing how far those things can add to our personal development, and also to see how well we can, like, use those things, use the skills, use the knowledge to better ourselves going forward. So that for me is what excites me about the future, and also like the future of humanity, and how like we deal with like things like climate change, and we're dealing with sustainability and building more sustainable communities and livelihoods. I think going back to the mention of technology, how technology is going to influence us going forward. I'm excited to see how well that aspect is probably, as we speak right now. I think I mentioned this earlier, but something is been developed that's going to accelerate how we interact with the world, or how we utilize elements in it. And then also, man, like the growth between me, you, all of our close friends and family, like, we're still the shield, and it's to see how far, like, we can take that, going forward. And also, I think as well, like on the other ventures, me and you are working on now, whether it's the video editing, the acting, the merch, the designing, the gaming aspect, but how well, how many collaborations we can do. Because the one thing that excites me a lot is, as I'm doing all these things, right, is, collaborating with other people, collaborating with you, collaborating with people like friends like Daniel, and like other friends of mine that I haven't mentioned. I shout out my best bro, like Talal, he's going into music, seeing how far his music goes and how he uses that, and like his things going forward. I'm really excited to see how he gets on. I'm excited to see how I get on. I'm excited to see how everyone that I haven't mentioned, you and anyone else close to me, that, obviously if I haven't mentioned it, I'm sorry, but how far we grow and how we develop and use that to become better people as well. So that's what excites me, bro.
Yeah, honestly, well, for me, I can't be speaking for other people, but for me, I also want to see how far he goes. I wish him the best in terms of his music career. I don't know if he does. Wait, is he rap?
Yeah, so he's a Middle Eastern rapper and a producer as well. So he makes beats as well on top of that.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah.
Oh, he makes his own beats as well. Flip. Come on, guys. You gotta see this talented man's stuff, man. He making his own beats too. Is he the new J. Cole or something? I don't know. But yeah. Oh yeah, honestly, like I wish him nothing but the best in terms of his music career, man. Like and yeah.
I hope I'm looking forward to hearing Loshy's music as well. If I've said it right.
Go Loshy, bruh. Yeah, go Loshy, bruh. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm getting a bit too hyped up, man. Too hyped up in here.
Trust me, bro. Trust me. So,
That's how much I love to see people succeed, guys. That's how much I love to see people succeed. Yeah, man. Even like on the maybe sorry for the listeners, yo, tell us your goals on the tell us your goals on the comment section, man. I know like some people wanna hey, if you want to keep it private, yeah, silent killers, hey, respect as like respect in it, but like obviously like if you want to like tell us like how you've for example like reacted to like trials and tribulations, what goals you want to do, and like what you want other people to like what makes you stay positive, what like you see positive in this world. Guys, drop it all in, man. It doesn't have to be us here telling you. You can tell us. It's all good. We won't bite. We won't bite. Man, don't worry about it. I don't even know why I thought of biting, man. I thought of Mike Tyson immediately.
oh my god, that's probably not going to be included, bro. But anyway,
I will not be included in this video, in this recording. No. I was like, oh, you're going to do Luis Suarez? I was like, no, this is a bit too much. Okay.
Yeah, man. Oh, yeah. That's a controversial one there. That's a controversial. Oh, nah.
It's too controversial. Right, guys. So, yeah, clearing this up. Yes, guys. So, like, if you just wanna, yeah, you can always put your stuff in and let's Takura like see and it's always good. Like, it's always good, like to and I wish nothing but the best in terms of your success, guys. And like, just keep doing what you believe in, keep doing what you want to do, and yeah, like keep pushing. Get the people around you, especially, man. Get the people that will want to see you do so much, man. Like, get those people around you. Trust me, it's a whole different experience. You will love it. Yeah, I was gonna go on and get some avatar quotes, but you will love it, man. That's all. That's all
Yeah, but I think as well, like what you said, man, I think we'll probably leave it until the last question, because, the last question's about what inspiring words you have for the listeners, but obviously we're not there yet. But obviously we push on as well. And, the next thing I want to ask you is like, what helps you stay focused and productive when you're completing an activity that you're working on?
I think apart from my mental, let me talk about like things apart from my mental state. Music especially would helps me out. Listening to some Brenda Fassie, to some Bob Marley. I think in terms of their music, especially like they push you to do much. Like even like as they tell their stories, and especially as the music that they do, it's so like getting inspirational music behind you. Like for me, continues to help me push forward, especially and because like it puts me in that mindset, because that's one I think that's one key thing to do, is like to always put yourself in that mindset, and I feel that their music really does help me out. On the mental side of things, I would say like looking for reasons behind my goals. So why have I, like going back to like I think I talked about this before, but again, why am I doing this? Because as you continue to question it, you continue to give it more reason, like to give it more of you continue to clinch onto it, because as you give yourself more reasons to do it, you continue to grasp it as much as possible until you get it. So those are my two things that I usually like, that usually help me out in pushing through. And how about you, sir?
All right, so for me, bro, it's essentially like I like writing a list down of what I want to work on for the day. And for the listeners, hearing, it doesn't have to be a drastic list. It doesn't have to have 20 items. You could have one item, two things, three things you want to complete for the day. And then this helps you stay productive throughout. As you complete tasks, right, you give yourself the opportunity to grow and develop. Like you set yourself a mini target. If you achieve it, you feel great. And then you start setting yourself objectives and targets as you get better, and you're building up momentum and you become more confident. You start taking those things on. You're like, actually, I could probably start maybe 2 items, a list of 2 items, and then move on to 3 and 4 and then 5.
Yeah. And you just continue to take them off. That's a really good way of doing things.
And I think as well, on the music piece, there's some artists that help like with productivity and all. I think for me, the musicians I listen to, obviously I listen to a wide variety of music. Like if you ever want to find out about that, I'll probably start a Q&A on Instagram or something, with ask answer people's questions.
Hey.
But like,
You were like, hey man, what music? What music is the best thing, which is inspiration? Oh, that's a good one, actually. Ooh, okay. Would you like co-collab with other people to do it, or would it just be a? Nah, I think like it'll be a personal Q&A because like people would want to also like.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. I guess a collaborative Q&A could be something on Twitch that we could work on, and it offers that platform as well, Twitch. So, I think the other thing is of the music I listen to. I like listening to Brazilian funk. So Brazilian funk, like artists like Nego do Borel, Anita, MCMM, Leksha, Ludmilla, if I can only name a few. I think those guys, like their music is catchy as well, so it's really, really good. Although I understand or I understand a little bit of Portuguese, but very, very little. So
Yeah, I was about to say, do you understand what you're saying? That is real. Okay. To be fair, I get that because I also like when I listen to like a friend of mine as well from Germany, man. He made me listen to some German rap, man. I didn't understand a word. Lip, the flow was sick, the beat was sick. I was like, man, I don't know what you're saying about Flip. Yeah, you go hard, bro. I was like, you go hard, bro.
wait, I think I can recommend a song for you. It's called ADF Samski. So music as well, like helps. So obviously writing down a list, sticking to it as well, and then also using music to stay productive and trying also understanding yourself better, I think is the third thing. So knowing what works for you, knowing how long you can go, or like with a concentrated mindset versus like when you can encourage a lot more distractions or how easily you get distracted. Learn about yourself and find what works for you to say, if you can only focus for 20 minutes, how best can you use that 20 minutes to get the most out of your day, that kind of a thing. So it helps you as well. I think there was something called a planning ninja. I was mentioned by a former mentor of mine, but he was talking about becoming a planning ninja. So there's times in the day where your mind is really focused, and then there's periods throughout the day where your like concentration decreases, and as you've got those three sections, so you've got focus, and then you've got semi-focus, and then you've got open to distraction. So in those periods, right, you put in tasks that you really want to get done, tasks that you can complete with the distraction, then tasks that you can complete with as many distractions as well, and then it helps kind of build up your productivity as well. So there's that. It's quite handy. So if people want to look it up, Planning Ninja. But yeah, I think obviously like to move on to the next one. The next question is, all the things obviously you've taken on, obviously starting with the brand, dealing with the struggles of uni, taking breaks, moving to a new country as well. Like obviously we've moved from Zim to UK. But can you tell our listeners like how you've handled stress, in those type of scenarios?
I think like for me, it was especially when it comes down to traveling to a different country. I think it was easier for me to deal with the experience because I used to travel beforehand. But I would say for people who don't really travel as much and for people like who would be new to like it'll be a whole new experience of like trying to talk to different people. I would say like the best thing to deal with stress is to always like to communicate with like family members that you know around because and if you don't know family members, there's always these people that in universities that whatever university you go for or like there's always like representatives, the student representatives, right? So like talking to them, like in terms of like trying to help like adjust in terms of like, oh yeah, there are these things to do and like you can like, and then they can help you out in terms of like, oh yeah, here are some people that you can talk to make things way easier for you to deal with the stresses of like being in a whole new different area. And it's always key to always talk. Like communication is so key, especially in these times. It's really like you have like I'm telling you, it goes so far. Like just talking, like continuing to talk with family members, like or talking with like even just like it always starts with one person, like the first person you talk to, and then like from there, like even like as I just said, like it can be a student representative or even a lecturer, and just from there you can continue to learn because it's not like no one has gone through that stress, and they can always give you that feedback on like, oh yeah, see, like, let's say even like it's always the same thing. Like even like I remember in not high school, primary school, even for example, like going into primary school, I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know nobody here. I don't know nobody here. What happens next? And hey, look, man, I got to meet Takura right here. And so, hey, guys, it always starts with that one person. It always starts like with communicating with family members and asking them how they dealt with the situation that you're in, or how they would deal with the situation, because they also know you better than like strangers know you, for example. So it's always good it's always like communication for me is always key, especially in those times, because, oh goodness, isolation is not the best thing, especially like when you just enter. So yeah, for me, like it was because I used to travel a lot. So I wasn't really as I wasn't really as stressed when I came here. I was mostly nervous about like the workload from uni mostly than meeting people. I think like even like the people who I would live with and whatsoever, I think I was okay, because like I don't know, coming from Zim, you know the amount of limits that like there's so many, considering like I don't know, you've seen a lot, so you're just there like, okay, what's the worst that can happen with living with someone? So, and it comes down to like, as long as you are in good terms with other people, as long as like, for example, fine, you may have your differences, but you can always work towards it. So as long as you have that typical mentality, instead of like, oh yeah, let's just put them down. Because I can vouch for, especially like if people want to like go into shared accommodation and the stress that can come from there, my goodness, like, because hey, you might be used to something, but hey, not some people here won't be used to what you think. What do you think? So I would say like it's always good. Like communication is always key. It's always key. Like yeah, you will always have your differences, but you can always work towards it and try play the bigger person. And what I mean by that, I don't mean like be the bossy person. I mean sometimes you gotta do some extra work. Sometimes you gotta do some extra effort. I know it's not like anyone's entitled to anything, blah blah blah. But it always counts, and like people will look at you like they would respect you more, and it goes a long way sometimes. So not what might seem some. Yeah, I mean most of the time. So I would say, yeah, communication is key, and like just do a bit of the extra work and like try and communicate as much as possible with the people around you, and you'll be stress free. And for those who are stress free, continue to be stress. Continue to be stress. No. Okay, don't be full on laid back. All right, like, but yeah, like, just don't be too pent up at the same time. Like, find a balance. So yeah. That was a funny one, though. I don't even know what to tell stress-free people, though.
I think you're probably going to ask me how I would answer that question as well, wouldn't you?
Yes.
So I guess for me personally, from my perspective, is to handle stress. I think the first thing, obviously, like you take a step back, right? And I think you've mentioned it as well. It's quite important to reach out to somebody you care about and, talk to them about that particular thing that's causing you stress. Because the fact that you're talking to somebody about it, you're letting it off your chest, and it becomes a shared problem. Like you obviously, not like as in you hand them your problem, but is you get to talk about it and you don't let it like destroy yourself mentally because you've got it out there. And then the next thing, obviously you're distracting yourself, distract your brain, maybe play a game, go on a walk, get something to do an activity to get the brain pumping blood and thinking and all that. So you're essentially, what's happening is you're doing an activity, but subconsciously you're probably working out how to overcome that stress that you're facing. And then that's obviously when you come back to it, whatever it is that's causing you stress, you've got a way to overcome it. And then I think the third thing for me is like, and I got this from Elliot House. So shout out to Elliot House for this. Like he says, the troubles we go through in our mind are like a storm. So a lot of the time when people meditate, try to meditate to forget about what's happening in their lives, like stresses and stuff. But he refers to using a storm example. So he says, instead of looking at the storm from the outside, you should sit in the eye of the storm. So in the center of everything in your mind. So obviously everything that's causing a stressor, you sit in the middle of it and you become one with it because you understand it more and you've given yourself the time to say, okay, what's causing me stress? Okay, this is causing me stress. Why is it causing me stress? You ask yourself questions. and you essentially help yourself find the answers, not immediately, because obviously you don't want to force yourself to try and find answers. You're giving yourself time to think of answers, and then once you do finally understand and come to grips with everything, you find ways of handling stress that are more unique to your situation. So Elliot House talks about, instead of sitting outside the store, right, you sit in the eye of the storm and you understand the storm and you help, and then that helps you manage and control some things in the storm. Because I think in some cases when stress happens, the biggest way of us overcoming or handling it is how we respond or how we react to that. So if we understand it well and we find, unique ways of handling that, like obviously like talking to people, getting into an activity, distracting ourselves, then we're in a better place to handle it when it happens. So yeah, man, it's quite interesting. And I know like me and you are quite similar in terms of our philosophical approach.
No, man. I'm just like, I'm like, wow, this is actually this is really similar to my form of thinking as well. And which is, hey, childhood friends, man. Childhood best friends, childhood brothers. Shield for life.
Yeah, Shield Brothers, man. We still out here, man. Even though the guys on WWE ain't there, man, we still here, man. We still here.
You know what I mean? Somebody gotta be doing it. So like, somebody gotta be doing it. No, man.
Yeah, man. But it's amazing. It's amazing, innit? Because like when you think of a situation and then you build it into a story and then that helps another person understand that, I think that's really, really powerful because they've got something to relate to as well.
That's true. I think like one thing that people find even more that always like helps them out with their stress, that is always like a connection with like a situation that they're in. So it's always like, like even these podcasts, like it's going to be so amazing, like with the different experiences that like, I know probably I should be saying this at the end, but, I just want to say this real quick. It's always amazing to hear these different experiences because I feel it's really going to help out in terms of like people when they want to go. It doesn't even have to be the UK, like going to a foreign place, even in general, like it just helps out, like, help them cope and talk to other people, like when they really need to or when they want to. So honestly, like this, like just really helps them out. And honestly, like this is an amazing podcast, man. Honestly, man, flip. Even these people are hitting hard. Hey, the next people, man. Hey, good luck. I was like, even now, my mind is going like, do I really think like that? I was like, do I really think like that?
Oh, thank you, bro. Thank you.
I'm like, I'm learning more about myself right now as well. And like, it's a good thing because I think like when people ask themselves these questions, even in their spare time, like not even just coming onto the podcast, it really reminds them of who they are. And I think like even like as I'm asking you these questions as well, like it gives me more of an idea of who you are. Like, I mean, yeah, like we always continue to learn more about each other and the people around us. So but honestly, these questions are amazing, man. Like, honestly, like this is a good not even a good podcast, an amazing podcast, man. And I can't wait to see. I want to ask you a question, but I think I'll ask you like after. I think after the final question is asked. So well, yeah. So.
Oh yeah, okay. So yeah, that's brilliant stuff, bro. And thank you for saying all those kind of things. So I started this, and I'm looking to build it and expand it. And obviously, as a quick drop to the listeners, I will be starting a second podcast at some point in the future, and I think this one will really excite you because we're going to give you an inner perspective or an inner viewpoint of what international students. It's going to be a new podcast that helps you internalize things and see things from another perspective. So stay tuned for that when I started. So, moving on to the next question, and I'm pretty sure you're going to love this question and you're going to hit me hard with it as well. You're not going to let me escape this question, bro. But what would you say are your strongest qualities, and which one of the qualities would you love to teach anyone who would be interested? Obviously, and it's not limited to one. You can teach anyone anything you can think of.
This was so hard. This was so hard. Because now I don't even, like, it's not like I don't know, but I feel like I would rather, like, hear other people say this, rather than myself, because it feels like I'm upping myself. But I will go for my strongest qualities. I will go for resilience, hardworking, And I know this is going to get a 50-50 response because communication. Right, let me explain myself. Right, I would love to teach all three, to be honest, because I feel they're all essential in terms of whatever you want to do. For example, resilience in terms of like when it comes down to failures or obstacles that come your way. Resilience is so essential because it like you need to have that essence of like that you want to continue to keep on pushing. You want to continue to keep on doing to keep on pushing your limits. You want to continue to see how far you can go. Like no matter whatever failure comes your way, you just continue to keep on pushing, continue to keep on. I think like that's something I would teach. How I would teach it. How would I teach? I think like I'd mostly like look at I would mostly like look at, depending on the person, for example, look at their experience and like push their minds to like say, okay, to continue asking them, okay, right, if this happened, what would you have done? If this had happened, what would you have done? To keep on coming with like different questions of failures that would have encountered with one specific goal that they want to seek. To just see that, oh yeah, can they continue thinking about it? Would they just give up? What would they do? Would they just, so in terms of that, it's just more of a warm up to understand, to just see that, okay, this is when all these questions come, like, and if people say, what to say, oh yeah, why would that happen? And then I would be like, okay, but if it was to happen, would you do something there? Or would you just, due to the fact that you think it won't happen, would you just leave it alone? So in terms of that, that would be more of a warm up. I don't know if that would also teach overthinking, but don't do that, guys. I don't want to do it. Please don't do that. Please don't do that. Please don't do it, because you won't do anything afterwards. But this is just more of a lesson to just show like how resilient you can be. And although it's not more of a practical thing in terms of like you being like, but like it's more of like just a general showing to show like how resilient you can be. Even just with talking with strangers and like in terms of like this would be a way better experience if we were to do sales, but because sales, hey, when dealing with customers, you really need resilience at that point, because some customers you need wow. Wow, like yeah. But right, going to hardworking and communication. I would want a hardworking. I think it's something that I think it can be self-taught as well. But in terms of how I would teach it, how would I? No, okay, that one I have to think about it. But with communication, I think with communication, I would mostly like, in terms of, let's say, for example, I would bring in a group of people like who would also want to help out with this, like who would also want to kind of improve this, because this is what the organization that I used to be a part of, Uprising, did once. So in terms of like just generally like they put you into groups and you do a specific activity. So let's say, for example, you're the government, maybe this group is the government, this group is business leaders, this group is like, let's say, for example, like general people, and like you're meant to play and like you're meant to like understand like, oh yeah, like what to do with your specific roles, for example. In terms of like, since you want to get into like, maybe it's like election time or whatever, and you want to understand people, but then people are like hating on the government, like, on that specific party that specific group is playing. So they have to like communicate together to understand that, oh yeah, like how can we do this? Because if they keep quiet and then nothing happens. So so in terms of that, like I would teach them in that, like in those specific ways. So I would love to teach communication, resilience, and hard work. Hard work is so hard to teach. I mean, hard work is so, oh man, it's because it also comes with resilience. That's the thing. So maybe like as with resilience, I'd probably like, it would also come together with hardworking. So would you have a way of teaching hardworking? The hardworking,
Okay, I guess from my perspective, and also this is my opinion, like teaching somebody hard work, but it's demonstrating it to that person what it is, because obviously hard work, it's abstract, and obviously definition wise, it's you putting a significant amount of effort to get a return or result from whatever you're doing, right? So if the best way I would say you want to show somebody that you're hardworking and, you want to embed that into their way of thinking is you demonstrate it and they see you in action as you complete a certain task, and they're seeing that, wow, you're putting a lot of effort into this, and they ask you what it is, and you say, okay, this is actually hard work. So it's practical learning. If you want to get anywhere or get anything done, you have to put in work and you have to put in effort, and this is what it looks like. Obviously, that would happen after you've actually done it. as you're doing, you're saying, okay, this is how I do this is how I keep myself organized, this is how I keep myself going. And then they're like, damn, bro, you do a lot. And then you say, oh yeah, that all that adds up to my work ethic. I like, doing things. I like staying active. I like learning. I keep pushing myself, that kind of a thing. And then in essence, that is what hard work is. So for that one, that's how I would teach it. I wouldn't obviously say like go up to a flipping whiteboard and say, today, guys, I am going to teach you hard work. Write hard work in capitals, hard work with a blue mark and say, okay, let's see hard work. First line down. What is hard work? I don't think I'd do it like that.
You were in detention in primary school, fam. Like they'd be like, "Yo, you write down what you did wrong." Yes, guys, that is hard. Actually, that's hard work right there. If you do that, that's hard work. But at the same time, that's also resilience. So you kill two birds with one stone. So you guys, if you're primary school, I don't know, primary school, and you're listening to this, just keep on going for detention. I'm joking. No, don't do that, guys. Don't do that. But yes, definitely. I do agree on that, actually. Yeah, it's true. I think it's more of a practical sense that you have to just meant to be shown as well as portrayed at the same time. So yeah, I do agree with you there. And what do you think are your strongest qualities and what would you like to teach?
Oh, yes, I've been put on the hot seat once again. Mr. Thabo, you know what? You're keeping me accountable, and that's inspiring, bro.
Oh, I need to hear this. Even me personally, I want to hear this as well, bro. I want to hear this.
Oh, yeah. So I guess for me, man, I'd say my strongest qualities would be, firstly, I am an outgoing person and I love meeting people, and I like interacting with new people and also interacting with people I know and I care about, and I love talking about them, having a laugh, being positive around those people. And I'd say I'm also a very good hard worker because I've got that work ethic, and I think it's also because of our upbringing and living in Zimbabwe. It teaches you, the value of hard work, and you put in a lot of effort to get something done and you get recognized and stuff. And, you putting in effort and, physically seeing the value of that effort you've put in, it's really, really inspiring for yourself and I'm pretty sure for others. So I also like, being encouraging to others. I think there's a sense of, it's really exciting to see somebody, putting in effort and you encourage them and you see them use that encouragement to build themselves and continue on, because that momentum that you build in them, you're also fueling your energy as well, because you're becoming better at coaching people, mentoring people, encouraging them, helping them see past the flaws and seeing the good in things and keep trying and build up, keep that encouragement going. And I think the other thing is probably I'll probably say I'm resilient, man. I refuse at times, sometimes no is not an answer. No is not an answer for me. And I built that. And, it's a quality that I've built up over the years, man, because, in situations in life as well, things go your way, things don't go your way. And it's to keep that, to always keep trying and be and persevere and build a resilience where, if you take an hour or if you don't succeed in one thing, it's alright. You got to get back on the horse. You got to get back on the skateboard. You got to get back on that bicycle and you got to keep going. You got to keep moving. You got to keep trying your best and making things better. So back to the Mamba mentality, man. You got to keep trying, got to keep practicing, got to keep putting in the effort, man. And you build up a resilient mindset that even if you fail at one thing, you just all right, I failed at one thing, but I'm still going. I'm still here. Even if that one thing didn't work, I'll be like, I'll find a way to come back and conquer it. That's how I think as well. So I'd probably say my strongest qualities, obviously being an enthusiastic, positive, outgoing person, hardworking, resilient and determined, and also, man, stand out from the crowd as well, bro. Just be different, being myself and, showing myself and others that, this is who I am. I'm proud of it and I continue to shine that light that I've created for myself, and I'm going to shine it brightly, hopefully even magnify it at some point, that's what we hope for, touch wood, and that's what I think for me, bro.
I also agree with you as well. I do agree with you as well. I think considering that, we have similar qualities. I think in terms of, I do absolutely agree with you, especially how resilient you are, knowing you, as well as the lifestyle that you've had. man, like your resilience and hard work and communication skills especially are amazing, man. It's because like you did explain it, you did explain the roots of like each skill of each quality as well. But it just shows like how amazing like how amazing like in terms of like your resiliency is, for example. Like how in terms of, let's say, for example, if I was to did I ask you in terms of the failures that you've actually gone through?
I don't think you have. And I think, to add on to what you're saying, it's one of those, like, obviously I don't talk about like this much, but like, the battle with my eye condition and, being constantly told no, on job applications and other things, man, you build up a mental toughness towards that. And you like, even if people don't believe in that one thing, you're your biggest fan, you are your biggest inspiration, because a lot of it, if you were to do something, the biggest believer in anything you want to take on is going to be you. Obviously, family, friends will also believe in that, but the person who understands from an intimate perspective it's always going to be yourself. If I'm looking at my challenges, it's one of those where I could probably say that's what I use. So I'm trying to think of a particular failure I've gone through that's really been, it's hit me hard, but it's also helped me recover. Okay, I think I've got a good one. So, like, when I was president of Enactus, I think my team had a reputation of always making it to the nationals competition. So this year we didn't actually make it to the nationals competition, and that hit me hard because I think I'm the first president of my Enactus team to fail at doing that. But as much as I felt distraught about it in the first 5 minutes, immediately after that I was like, look, things happen for a reason. I'm already in a place where, okay, what can we do to be better for next time? And I've mentioned this in the communication. I've said the emails I've sent to the team and to our mentors and advisors that, look, we may have done it this way, but what can we do now? We have to look at what we can do better for the next team next year so that they can be prepared. And also, like, I think I wasn't too hard on myself because in that same period, like, I led the web development team to refurbish the existing Enactus T-Side website. I led the Amazon challenge team that helped a local business set up their products on Amazon as well. And then I also helped develop a president of Enactus 20, who I'm hoping would be a guest on this podcast as well at some point, Kendrick. So I've mentored and coached him. So I've inspired him. I've managed to help the team to help another business set up their products on Amazon. So e-commerce, all of those things. So from that one failure that I failed to get the team to the next stage of the Enactus competitions, I was like, you know what, looking at that particular failure and from all the effort I've put in, I think looking at it, I immediately looked at the positives of that. So it's given the team extra time to prepare and hand over. And I've chosen to stay on and support the team in an advisor capacity / consulting capacity as well. So at least they don't lose that mentorship and guidance and support that I took the time to build up for the team in the first instance, and it just doesn't die down. So that's an example of failure for you, bro. You've requested it and I've delivered it. You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
I knew that was. Hell yeah, am I gonna bring up? Okay, let me talk about my business one because, oh goodness, I have failed in my lifetime. Right? We'll talk. So basically, I think it was the first month. Was the first month? I barely made profits, man. Like it was to the point, like, oh man, like you can count the number of clients on your hands, man. So it was in a month. I think it was only 3, 4. And that was barely anything. So like, yeah, it was tough. Like that's when I had to like, I was really like, oh my gosh, like, this because I gave myself a time period in which like because I had to go back to uni as well. So I was like, okay, I need to get this sorted out. Like I need to get like clients coming in. I need to see like what I can do and blah blah blah. Wait, was it first? Yeah, it was first. I don't know if it was first month or it was first month. Yeah. I was not thinking first. Yeah, first week where there was 0 sales. But like first month. So basically like I was stressed out. I was like, oh my gosh, like okay, yeah, oh my gosh. Like another one of my dreams like could like go into shambles here. No. I have to think about it. Maybe let me look at it in a different perspective because I'd asked my friends, but like there's so much that like, your homies can do. So yeah, they're like, okay. I need to start looking into this in different directions. I have to get like more people in. So it was like one of those times when I genuinely was like, I can't believe this. Like it was Like, crap, I really need to see what's happening. So from then, that's when like I reacted different. I was like, okay, let me go to libraries and talk to people, like get some flyers out and all these different things. Loshy was actually the guy that actually taught, like he actually like made the flyers and everything. And I was like, well, thank you. If he's listening to this, man, I honestly appreciate everything you did. And so he helped me out in terms of that. And like I went to like the libraries and then it went to there. Then I went around just putting it out, like getting the word out even more, getting social media on. He helped me out with like just getting the banner up and everything. And it was looking fine. It was like getting people were now coming in. I was like, oh my gosh, like it was just because like I just looked at it from a different perspective. So it was actually up there with one of my major failures in terms of getting a profit in like for the first month. Because I generally, I kid you not, I really believe like there were going to be way more people than I expected in that month. Way more. Like way more. So flip, it was really good to know like in the next coming, well, obviously the next afterwards, yeah, it just boomed. So yeah, that was one failure I will continue to remember. I will continue to remember, even like maybe in 10 years' time, if someone asks me that question. But yeah, that was definitely one of my failures.
Yo, yes, and oh man, that's an amazing. You've literally shared the story of a concept in development. You've built it up. There was excitement, and also in the early stages, there wasn't really anything happening, and I can relate to that, man, on so many levels as well. But you stuck to it, and you built up, promotional materials. You reached out, you got support, and then slowly but surely, customers started trickling in, and it's that's the beauty of it because you start something, and then obviously there's like nothing happening, and it's like the tumbleweed is like rolling past, and then next thing you're slowly building it up, and then it's getting better and better, and then obviously customers are coming in, and you're like, oh, okay, first customer, I'm excited for this, and then more come, and then more come, and you're getting more excited, and you're like, I thank God, I thank my support network, I thank everyone, myself, and for sticking to it and not giving up and like walking away. You're like, you stuck to it, and that's really, really powerful, man. Like, you stuck in there even when things were not working. You stuck in there, and you're like, you know what, I'm not going to give up on this. I'm going to keep trying. I'm going to keep pushing. And that's really, really powerful, bro. So, kudos to you, man. I guess if we have some listeners from Zimbabwe as well. So if you'd like to share the name of your business.
Oh, Raids. Oh, yeah, I was about to ask, like, if I, right, guys, if you go across BC, it's called the Raidswift Zone. You can see it on Facebook. I also made a WhatsApp group as well, so you know what I'm saying. So, guys, like, yeah, just across, my goodness, streets. I remember streets, flip.
Nah, it's alright if you don't remember the streets, but you said, what's the name again?
Raid Swift Zone. So raid and Swift is just one word, and then zone.
Okay, man, and I'll definitely leave some details in the description for it, for people who are in the 263, shout out to everyone, all my listeners from Zimbabwe. I appreciate all of you listening into this podcast and, being avid supporters, and I really do appreciate, and if you know anyone who's looking for an outlet to play some games, meet some people, check out Raidswift Zone in BC, Bulawayo. So forever, it's Bulawayo Center. Our pronunciation is Bulawayo Center. I don't even know if I've said that right. That sounds like I butchered it, but
Hey. I think like, oh yeah, but for now, we're kind of closed down now because we gotta follow the pandemic rules. We can't be letting people, especially like when COVID is happening, like to play together. So, but until then, guys, I will let you know in further details when things start opening up. And yeah, until then, yeah, come through when it's open. That's like come through when it's open. But yeah, now guys, hey, follow pandemic rules. Hey, get your masks, bruh. Hey. I was like, hey, get your masks, bruh.
get your mask. And I guess that, you're going to have to make sure you've added in safety measures as well. So people have to be 2 meters apart when they play, and each gaming station will have to be 2 meters apart. So it's going to be an interesting challenge. But from what I've seen in the world right now with the people's responses and businesses' responses to COVID, I think all of them have responded, in line with the government advice, with health, what WHO advice as well. So, they're taking that into consideration and they're, setting things up to work with what's happening at the moment. But, with that, man, we'll move on to the next question and we're reaching the end now. But, going back to the skills and what you'd like to teach some people, is there anything you would like to learn, going forward, that you're maybe excited about taking on?
Yeah. This was very easy for me because I definitely know this sounds like 2 skills, and I'm continuing to work on them. Time management is one. Time management is one because the thing with what comes with my hard work and resilience is that like I spend too much on things, and this comes into the next thing, which is multitasking. Now, why I can't multitask, I'm better now than I was before. What, like, the issues with me is that when it comes down with my resilience is that I don't know when to give up. And now when it comes down to like one specific thing, for example, like me working on a blog or me working on a video, I'll focus on like getting, like, let's say, for example, like, I'll get a script. Like when it comes down to my poetry videos, me remembering stuff and then like, since I have a short-term memory, that's a bit difficult. But in terms of that, like I work on it, like, and I would want to work and finish and perfect it. And sometimes it may, like, I will not be good with time management. So for example, like I want to do like my assignments and I want to do other things on the side and all the things like I want to accomplish. So I genuinely do want to work on my time management and my multitasking skills. I am absolutely garbage. I can say that. Yeah, I am garbage in terms of multitasking. I am so bad. Time management has improved, but there's the little progress happening in multitasking. I think it's very essential, especially when it comes down to working. Like I'm not gonna lie to you guys. You need multitasking. You have to have multitasking when you're working. So it's something that I genuinely want. I'm genuinely continuing to push into improving myself as well. Like these two. I mean, if to the friends and family members out there, if you think I have any weaknesses or traits that are my weakest traits, you can always let me know. If you want to put it in the comment section, I mean, all right, be savages and do that. But be savages and do that. But yeah, like honestly, like it's So those are my main two. How about you?
Right, so for me, bro, I'm really excited, obviously, with what we're looking at. Obviously, for me, it's digital. I'm looking at the digital content side. So I'm really looking to get into understand marketing more and video editing and producing. Like the adverts you've seen for like films and stuff and like how dramatic it is, like learning how to do that, man. I'm really excited about learning that. And once I know how to do it, I can then use it for so many other things. And then, I think for me, agreeing with what you said earlier, the multitasking piece, being able to do more than one thing at once. I think it's one where it doesn't happen straight away and you have to keep trying. So I think that's one area that I need to get better at, like being able to do maybe an email or like, well, I don't know, man, but doing more than one thing at once or working on multiple things. But I would say I'm definitely on good track with that because I tend to use Microsoft Outlook to help me, like the calendar. So Microsoft Outlook calendar. So I've got tasks. You put in the tasks in your calendar and then you say, okay, this is what I'm going to be doing today. And then you work out, okay, how best can I be able to do all of these things and complete them? And some of them you'd have to do at the same time. So that's how I've gone about it. And I would also suggest it to you as well if you want to give it a try. It doesn't have to be Microsoft Outlook. It can be Google Calendar. It can be your phone calendar. You've listed all your tasks down and getting reminders. And then that helps you in terms of time management, multitasking, because you know what's coming and what you're going to be working on. But yeah, I guess the other thing, obviously this has been outstanding since late 2016, but completing my pilot's license, that's another skill I really want to pick up. Like going back earlier to when I answered about passion, aviation and flying is my passion. So completing that for me personally is going to be a major milestone. It's going to be a skill that I'm excited to learn going forward because I want to use it to benefit myself and for the people around me and the close community as well, hopefully at some point. So, really making the most of that. But those are the things I'm looking forward to learning, bro. And I think obviously with the podcast, how can I get better with podcasting? And also, what else could I go into? I don't know, man. I think that the realm is probably endless. So, on that, bro, in closing, right? Because we've reached the end. And I think this is a question that will probably be focused on you because this is where you essentially hit home. And yeah, like from a Kevin De Bruyne assist, you need to apply the finish. So I'm giving you the assist now, you finish. You know what I'm saying?
And I'm giving you that Mama Young finish, fam. I'm giving you that a Mama Young finish. All right. Okay.
So in closing, I want to ask you, what inspiring words would you like to tell our listeners who are looking to improve themselves?
Okay, people, are you ready? All right. Okay, put the volume up. All right. Put the volume up right now. Put it to 100. Put it to 100 right now. All right, guys. Don't lose hope when things don't go your way. Don't ever lose hope when things don't go your way. There's always a reasoning behind everything. Always step back. You know how people like evaluate the scenes. You know what I mean? They're like, hey, let's step back, check it, like check around, let's see what's happening. You know, when before you're about to cross the road, you know, you check both sides. You don't just go straight in. You know what I mean, fam? Like, oh, you're gonna get bumped. So you gotta step back, look around, see what's happening. Okay, then you attempt and you carry on and keep on attempting. So don't ever lose hope when failure hits you, guys. That's my last. I was like, that's my final words for anyone out there. So please, just don't ever lose hope. Don't ever lose hope when failure hits you. Keep on being resilient. Keep on going. And trust me, the reward will come. It will come. I don't know how long it'll take, but it will come. It depends on the person, but it will come. Trust me, guys. So, yeah. And any last words from, I'm pretty sure, like, have you said, like, what your last words would ever be? Like, in terms of, like, what, like, you'd want people to, or would you just be like, oh yeah, I like in terms of like what other people are saying, those are my words. In terms of what like the people I'm interviewing would say, like those are my words.
Right. So for me, man, normally what happens is the last question is obviously your last opportunity to say something inspirational to the listeners. And then obviously I conclude by saying, well, that's the end of the episode now. So I do the outro. But if you want me to say something as well, I think, you said something really, really valuable about, people not losing hope when things are not working, and people should. So I would say, people, keep trying, be open to learning new things. So right, if you're not doing well in a particular area, or if something is taking longer than you would expect to get good at, because it takes time, and don't be too hard on yourself. Remember, you're running a race unique to yourself. We're not competing against each other, because we're all running a different race. And as you, like you said, never lose hope, but also be patient, or learn patience, and be happy and grateful for what you have. Use that to your advantage and make the most of it. And then also don't forget that, you're working towards a pace that's comfortable. So go at a pace you're comfortable with, not what the pressures of the world are saying. You are the king, queen, or the master of your life. So you control how quick or how slow things go. So, I guess in some cases, the things you can't control, but, for the things you can control, maximize your control on them.
I absolutely agree with that, guys. Like these are wise words from Sir Takura. So cite them, put them in, reference them, come back to them, reference them to this episode. It could be probably be said another episode, but yeah, honestly, I do agree with them, and I honestly do agree with that. I honestly do agree. And yeah, I genuinely do emphasize on that, people. So please, like, communicate, like, there's several ways to keep on track. You can, like, maybe, like, the things that we're telling you right now aren't maybe, like, your best suit. But it's not like there's nothing for you. Like, we can always communicate with family members and friends to ask them their opinion on how you can continue to, like, stay and focus on, like, when obstacles hit you and, like, what exactly you can do. Sometimes it can be music. Sometimes it can be a mental thing, like doing yoga. Sometimes it can be just gymming, for example, like, exercise, you know what I mean, to relieve the stress. So it ranges from so many different perspectives. Like, there are so many ways. There's so many ways to get the job done. There we go. I was like, I don't know if I can use that greatest model. There's so many ways. Yeah, honestly, yeah, those are my final words. So, and a quick question to Sir Takura before the recording ends. In fact, in the next 5 to 10 years, for example, where would you want this podcast to be? And, like, what impact would you want this podcast to have in that time period?
So I guess in the next 5 to 10 years, from my perspective, I'm hoping, and also I'll be working on it as well, hoping the podcast can be, first of all, still there and still frequently producing content, it being of value to anyone who's listening to it. And I'm pretty sure by that time it would have varied and added in a new angle, new ways of delivery as well. So there'll be different variants of the episodes that I want to release as well. So I'm also hoping to have a studio, dedicated studio for it. But, at the moment, I like the fact that a lot of the people I sit down with and I interview, they're not in the same area as me right now. So I want to continue doing remote interviews. So speaking with people all over the world, globally, different time zones, and recording it that way as well, because it's helping me connect with people who wouldn't be in the same place as me. So I've got a way of connecting with people who are not in the immediate area. So that's what I'd say is the next step. Remaining consistent, keep producing content, and record more episodes, have a studio, and hopefully have a dedicated studio for anyone who's local, and then for anyone who's not so local, to have episodes where I can record them remotely. And also, I think some episodes where I feature by myself or with a co-host, or, like I said, different variations of episodes. So I'm hoping to introduce all those elements to it, and also have it interlinked with whatever I'm working on in the future as well. So that's what I'm looking to. Obviously, I'm not focused on it being the number one or number two, whatever. I'm not focused on numbers, like as in position wise, but I want to make sure that it's solid, it's consistent, and it's making a difference. And it's easy to access as well. I think that's another thing that we overrate, the ease of accessibility to something, because not everyone is got access to it. So making it more accessible to people, and maybe even producing, dare I say it, because I don't think people use CDs anymore, but like copies of it that people could download, so seasons or discs, digital discs or albums of the podcast episodes. So if somebody, let's say, will not be able to listen every single week, they want to download all of the episodes from season 1, season 2, season 3, they can download it online and be listening to it in their own time, at their own pace, whatever they're comfortable with as well. So that's what I think as well.
Yeah. Okay. That was like, yeah, okay. No, I think that's that, man. I think you've answered. I mean, if there is something, I'll put it on your comment section. I'll come sneaking through. I'll come sneaking through. The tag that's gonna come through. Tabs neck just pops up. You're like, whoa, he's got more questions, doesn't he? You're like, and obviously, guys, like you can always ask questions in terms of like relating to all the other podcasts and relating as well as like to Takura himself. He is a good guy. He, honestly speaking, is not like going to he's not going to cuss you out or nothing. I don't know if I can use that word. Can I use that word, or should I use a formal word?
Oh no, I think you can use the word cuss. Yeah, no, but no, like you said, yeah. I think it's what you discussed this earlier in the podcast as well, being open to criticism and feedback. And I know starting this podcast, even for you as well, like starting a clothing line, making video content, you have to be in a space where you're like, people are going to say things to you. So I have had people say, oh, the quality of the microphone in episode 1 was a bit iffy. What was going on? And I'm like, yeah, okay, this is what happened. Try to do better for next episode. The next episode, they were like, we heard a few clicks in the episode. And I'm like, yeah, I get that. It's probably because of the internet, the obviously not making excuses, but acknowledging the fact that there are issues that need to be addressed. And, as we get better, I'm hoping at some point as well, as part of the podcast, my editing skills go from 2-star to 5-star, or even infinity star, man. Like, cause as you continue to get better, there's new things, there's new aspects to consider, so you get better and better and better. So there's things I'm always looking to improve on as I use editing software for the podcast and all that stuff.
Do the people that follow you, do they provide you some suggestions as well into how you can actually, in terms of, can I even use that word? How you can improve quality?
As in how I can improve. Yeah, I mean, I've encouraged people to comment. I think not many have. I mean, only a few people have, to be honest. But I think those few people are the active listeners. And obviously, as the audience grows, obviously more people will start throwing in their 2 cents and what they think is worth saying for the improvement of the podcast. So I'll take that on board as well. I think as well, to be fair, like I love the website I use. So shout out to Zencaster for me to record this episode with you. We're not in the same place, yeah, but we're recording, the ability to do that, man. So shout out to Zencaster for doing that. I'm going to do I think by the time this episode comes out, I would have done an appreciation post to them, because this platform has helped me, record high quality podcast episodes, record with people who are not even in the UK. I've recorded with people from Canada. I've recorded with people from Australia. I've recorded with some people. I'm hoping to record with a couple of my friends from China as well. So, all over the world, we're not even limited. I think we're supposed to do a couple from South Africa as well at some point, but we're global now. Yeah, we're global now. So yeah, so like recording with everyone and anyone and everyone that I approach to feature on the podcast, because I think that's another thing. I think that's another thing I want to, like, in the next 5-10 years, I want to remain in control of that, or have a say in who features on the next episode, because as I'm looking at people and I'm identifying guests and stuff, that's the process I go through. So yeah.
Well, hopefully the Zencaster, hopefully you're hearing this, representatives. Maybe you can put in a little sponsor, if you know what I'm saying. Sponsor my brother right here, shouting you out. You know what I'm saying? That's all I'm saying. Oh, yeah, he's in your platform. That's all I'm saying. Get a sponsor out. I'm just letting them know. I was like, I'm just letting them know. Letting them know.
Absolutely, bro. Well, that's all for today on another amazing episode of the P.O.T.N podcast, the 20th episode of the P.O.T.N podcast. We have grown unanimously in this short space of time. So thank you all for listening in and reaching the end of the podcast episode. I know today was a special edition episode with loads of questions and answers and a lot to take in as well. I just want to take the time now to thank my guest and good brother, Thabo, for joining me. Tabzaniak, thank you for joining, bro.
Thank you, man. Honestly, this was an amazing time, man. I had fun. I had fun. I had so much fun, man. Honestly, great time. Thank you guys for listening to me as well. Thank you, Takura, for hosting me on this show. If you want to host me again, you know where to find me. Maybe we can do a little second episode. I don't know. Maybe same questions. I don't know. Maybe I'll be a whole different person next time. I don't know. A whole different person next time, give you different answers. But yeah, thank you again for hosting me. And honestly, it was a pleasure for you to host me. And thank you again, man. Thank you, brother.
You're welcome, bro. And, thank you for coming on to the podcast. Appreciate you being on there and sharing your wisdom. And it's been an honor having you on the podcast. This episode is obviously going to be a special edition one. And I'm pretty sure all the listeners will enjoy it. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast on Apple, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and YouTube. Please leave a like, a review, and a comment. It will help other listeners and future listeners find my podcast. So thank you all for listening in. Be sure to check out all the links in the description. Till next time, be well and take care.
Peace, guys. Peace.
I need a bag, I need a crib. My mama needs somewhere to live. All of my people need something to eat. And all my demons need a God to forgive. Cause living ain't free and nothing is cheap. So why I've been working while all of you sleep. Cause nothing is ever out of reach. So I'm trying to practice what I preach. Cause I came up from underneath. My whole life I've been under siege. Like I got the popo behind me. But this here ain't no need for speed. Now I'm talking that real life. Like the things that keep off the television. But I maintain my tunnel vision. Fell off, came up, was back to business. Because I started out working on a mixtape. Shit worked out, yeah, it's in shape. Black skin, but I never been afraid. Cause I got the juice, man, I made.
Music by Zeke.